Hello, everyone. I'm Nicole Betrandria Huff from CocoHuff.com. This is my second live video. Today, we're talking about making chicken stock out of our chicken bones and all the things that are left after we roast the chicken. Last week, we talked about roasting the chicken, carving it, and what's inside and what we're going to save. We had absolute chaos last week. We had the dog barking, we had the doorbell ringing. I guess other things could happen. We're going to see what happens today. But I'm just glad to be here. I'm really happy to be doing this. And I'm happy that you're here. So let me just say, I'm not sure if the comments were supposed to come up on the screen. I'm not sure that's happening yet. I thought I should mention, so people are aware that's going to happen. But I can see your comments. Hi, Jen. How are you? I can see them. I think I missed a lot of them last week. They're going by pretty fast. But if you have questions about kitchen design, about cooking, about what I'm doing right now, please type them in and I will try to keep up. Or if I can't keep up, I'll answer them in the chat after the fact, or call you, or text you, or we'll find some way to answer. Hello, Jan from Denmark is here too. Thank you for coming. We're picking up where we left off last week, basically, which is we had roasted a chicken, carved the chicken, and then talked about what's in the pan after we do that. So I'm going to switch cameras. If anything goes wrong, let me know. But this is our carved chicken. This is not the one from last week, obviously. This is the one that I just made today. So we have our drumstick and thighs, which are still attached today. We talked about separating that in this joint here last time. We have the wings like this, and the breast that was cut into one piece off the bone and into medallions. So that's our platter for our dinner. And then, so last week we had this, and then we had the rest of what's in the pan, and it was a little bit too hot to deal with. So that's what we're going to do now. That over there. So what I had said before, actually, let me back up a second and talk about chicken stock. So there are a couple of reasons why this is the second lesson that I teach. So we said the first lesson is the chicken because it's an easy thing to make for a meal. It's, you can just get that on the table and it's delicious. You can feed your whole family in an hour, a little over an hour. And then it's our first lesson in how we're going to take what's in our kitchen and use the rest of it going forward. So that's going to be a theme going through. Hi, Regina. How are you? And I'll say again a couple times throughout. If you have questions, please let me know and I'll try to keep up. So chicken stock is, the main thing that we can make with what's left, the bones, the cartilage, the innards. And besides helping you save money and, just be more appreciative of what you're bringing into your kitchen, it's also very good for you. So what goes into, it's the bones and some vegetables and water. It's fairly simple. But what's going into that water is all the nutrients from the vegetables, the protein from the chicken, the calcium from the chicken, and then all of the joint connective, I'm going to have a blank, the collagen, sorry, I was going to say cartilage. The collagen that's in the joints and the cartilage is so good for you. So I don't know if you've ever had collagen powder, or there's all these supplements that are sold for your hair, your nails, your skin, your joints that are so good for you, and that's what's in this. That's what we're making, basically. So you don't need those supplements. You're basically drinking that or making soup out of it. So this is what we ended up with last week, and I was just going to show, I just washed my hands, and like I was saying before, it's not the prettiest thing, but there's so much more on here. So after we had a first meal, I would sort of continue to take the meat off of this, because it's better roasted than it is boiled, really. So I'm going to do that quickly right now. Here's the breastbone. It's just hard to do with a knife. It's much easier we call it picking the chicken, pick it out of there. Hi, Diana, how are you? Good to see you again. So there's quite a lot of meat still on here. As you can see, that's all white meat. You could save that and make chicken salad. Oh, I should talk about, we had so much chicken, and it was just me most of the week, so I ate chicken. But I made chicken salad with celery and onions and mayonnaise. I made some like rice and beans with chopped up chicken. You know, after we had that initial meal, there was still quite a lot. What else? I'm trying to remember. There was more, but I'll think of it. So back here is the wishbone. If you can get this out in one piece, take the meat off of it. And let that dry. You know, the wishbone, like you make a wish. So it has to dry a little bit, though. Otherwise, it's a little soft for that right now. I don't know if you can see that up close. Just switch. That didn't work because my hand, there we go. This is the wishbone. So we dry them out for a couple days, and then the kids get to fight over who gets their wish. So that's that. More meat back here. It's actually quite, maybe I could have done a slightly better job the first time, but it's just to show you, like, you would not want to throw this all away at all. That's some skin, so that's going in my stock pan there. This is, like I said last week, you go down this bone and then it splits, and these two pieces here are called the oyster. That's really delicious if you like dark meat. You definitely want to save that. This one has a lot. That's a lot. Okay. Is that pretty good? It's pretty good. So what we have left is basically the carcass, the bones of the chicken. So that's the first thing that's going in our, that's all for another meal. And then this is going to go in our pot. So let's do that. I mean, you're going to be like, this is the simplest thing I've ever seen. And then it's just, you see it once, oops, I'm spilling my peppercorns. So you see it once and you'll know how to do it. So I'll switch to this camera. We have this. I break this open, basically. So, because you're going to want to cover this with water, so you want everything kind of flat and down in there. So just break that, stick it in the pan. Wipe my hands. And then it's really, there are quite a few things you can do. Oh, the camera's not switching. I don't know what the trick is. This is hi Karen and hi Danielle. Let's do one quick test. Switching? Maybe? No. All right. Well, I hope you can see. I'll try to edit this in better. Technology issues. Now you might not see me. Okay. We're doing, like last week, sort of the most simple version of this. So it's the chicken, onion, carrots, celery, bay leaf, and peppercorns, and water. And that's really all you need. And you'll be amazed within 10 minutes when you start simmering it. It smells so good. It's amazing. So we're just going to do that. So I have one onion. I've rinsed this. I don't even take the skin off, though, because the skin, oh, now I'm on this camera. That's fine. The skin gives it some extra color. You don't really want this root end or any dirt or anything, so I just take that off, put it to the side. But if it's clean, the skin, you know, when you dye Easter eggs with onion skins, it gives it a little bit of extra color. Thank you for being my tech manager, David, my brother, and thank you. All right, so I'm going to cut that, make it flat, cut through the root end, and stick the whole thing in the pot, skin and all. The skin has extra nutrients in it. We're good. Same thing with the carrots. I'm sure you've heard before, like the peel of the carrots is where all of the nutrients are. So I scrub this with a vegetable brush, and I'm just going to cut it in half and put it in the pan. Another carrot. That one is clean. It just has little spots from throwing. And same thing with celery. This has been scrubbed, cut it into a couple pieces. I forgot one thing. Hold on, I'm going to come back. I need one more thing. My secret ingredient. I'll be right back. So, one I didn't mention actually. I never did this my whole life. was to put a parsnip in the stock. And about a year ago, I went to a Seder dinner, and I said, you know, why is this stock just better than my stock, basically? And you know, Jewish cuisine is known for having a lot of like chicken soups and matzo ball soup, and you know, if you're sick, or for a lot of their traditional meals. And my friend's mother said you should put a parsnip in it. So I have been doing that ever since. I've been putting in the parsnip, and it does add like a level of sweetness and depth to it that it did not have before. So like I said, my whole life I did it without, but it does add a level of flavor if you have a parsnip. It's just like a white carrot. They come in a bag. So we have our chicken bones, an onion, 2 carrots, 2 celery, and a parsnip. And then we do not want to forget all of this. So all of this is the drippings from roasting the chicken. This is caramelized, you know, I don't know what drippings are exactly. I guess it's protein. Caramelized protein. This is mostly fat. That's the liquid. Last time we had a lot more like juices and fat that you could strain and maybe just even spoon over the chicken. Today it's mostly fat, but you want that in the stock. You can skim it off later, but you want that to give the flavor to your actual stock. This is skin that will render its fat and flavor. This is the neck and the liver and heart. Last time I just got greedy and ate them instead of putting them in the stock. So I mean, they're so good just like that. That's up to you. You wouldn't put the liver in, actually, just the heart. Karen agrees. Thank you, Karen. That is, I never knew that parsnips were the magic ingredient. I never knew that until maybe 2 years ago, and it really makes a difference. I'm glad to have a second on that one. So, all right, I'm going to scrape it. I have this metal scraper. Scrape this pan to get everything. So the key to something like this is you're making a lot out of a little. It's just, you know, there's barely anything here, but you want to preserve anything that's flavorful. So usually caramelized bits in the bottom of a pan are the most flavorful part. So we want all of that. Scrape, scrape, scrape. All right, and then this is going in as well. Hi, Stacy. Thank you for being here again. I hope that noise is not just unbearable on video. Scrape. All right, keep scraping. We're almost done. I mean, I would try to get the sides even too, but I don't want to break your eardrums. All right, everything you can get in there. Woo, that's tough. That's tough in person too. Everything you can get in there goes in. And then just, I'd say like a teaspoon of peppercorns. Maybe that's more than a teaspoon. Don't get them in the chicken you're going to eat, like I just did. Teaspoon of peppercorns and 1 bay leaf. This is tiny. I'll probably put 2 bay leaves. 2 small ones or 1 big one, like that. So I'm going to cover this with water. And then, thank you, Stacy. I'm so happy to have fans in town already. That makes me really happy. She said, I love this show. I'm just going to cover this with water until they're sort of like almost floating. You don't want them peeking out. Do that. Just covering it with some water. About like this. Let's see if I can do this camera switch again. Maybe. Oh, I think it worked. Maybe. Oh, thank you, Stacy. Stacy commented on my kitchen. I really appreciate that. I think we're going to do a kitchen tour at some point. I could talk for hours. Well, maybe we'll do more than one kitchen tour, just about what's in here and like how it's organized and all that type of thing. So I thought that would be fun at some point. I don't know if my video is still working. Let's see. But this is how I covered the vegetables and the chicken in water, and I'm going to put this on the stove to simmer. So I will put a cover on this at least for the first couple hours. I usually do 4 hours. You could do 2. You'll see around 2 hours it starts to look like something else, you know, like a good stock. And you could do 4. Just keep an eye on it every hour that it's not getting too low. So, you know, you don't want to burn it, but, you know, the more concentrated it is, the better. You just want enough water that allows it to simmer for that length of time. One other thing I do, and this is just, you know, there's anything from 2 hours to what I sometimes do is put it in my slow cooker for 24 hours. And then your whole house smells like chicken stock, but you really get every bit out of those bones and out of everything that you're, Lord, I don't know how to use this, but out of the bones and out of the vegetables, like there's nothing left in those after the 24 hours in the slow cooker. But that's sort of option 2. 2 to 4 hours simmering on low in your stove, on your stovetop is the basic way to do it. So no salt. There was quite a lot of salt on the chicken skin before, so we're not doing that. And you want to be able to control the salt in whatever you're making later with this. All right, so I'm going to put this on my stove, and then we'll look at one that's already done. Okay, we'll clear this out of the way. Okay, so I have this pot. It's a little bit warm still. This cooked down a lot. I guess I could have actually added some more water. One secret is the slower you simmer it, the lower temperature simmer, the clearer the stock will be. So in French cooking or consommé or something of that style, you do want it to be pretty clear. This one's a little bit cloudy, but I sometimes like this. Like for a ramen, if you ever go to a ramen shop and it's like not milky, but like a cloudy broth, that's because they boiled the heck out of it and got every like micronutrient out of all those bones and things. So this one looks a little bit more like that. So I usually do this in the sink, but I'll do it right here. If you do it in the sink, don't forget the bowl. Like, this has happened to me, and it's happened to other people. I've seen it happen on TV. Like, you think you're straining pasta, and all the water goes down the drain. So you don't want to do that. Oh, Catherine. Oh, Catherine is talking about my coffee machine. We will definitely do a kitchen tour, and that is, like, for me, the pièce de résistance. I love that coffee machine. And Lynn would make Pop-Tarts, but that's why you're here. You're going to make chicken now, right? All right, we're going to strain. Like I said, if you're doing it in the sink, don't pour the stock down the drain. It sounds so silly, but it can happen very easily. It's a little hot. Sometimes I frequently I save the chicken bones and do more than one chicken worth at a time, so there's more liquid. And then you have to sort of pull the big pieces out first so they don't splash everywhere. So, all right, you can see everything's sort of mush at this point. Hi, Christine, joining from North Carolina, a friend who just moved there. How are you? Clink. Let's see here. So we have a strainer full of the bones, everything that was in there. This batch, I did something I don't usually do because last week Liz asked, do I roast the bones of the chicken? So if you were making a beef stock and you had the bones from inside of roast, you would roast those bones again. And I thought about it more, and I was like, no, I've never done that, but I tried it. So I would say the bones didn't get brown. They were basically the same as what would normally be. And I think the reason is that a beef bone usually has some meat and fat and stuff on it still, so it lends itself more to that But what did get brown was the skin. So all the skin that I pulled off that chicken, like we ate it crispy the first day, and then whatever's left is kind of soft, that got really crispy. So I think that probably would add some flavor to this. I'm just draining this while I talk. And whoops, I dropped my bay leaf. It would add flavor, and it's also like not all the skin made it in here because it's so good like that. It was crispy. It's like almost like a pork rind of chicken skin. So there are some, I've seen some restaurant dishes where they have, it's called chicken chip or something on top, like very fancy this way. That's basically just the skin laid flat and then roasted like that. Kelly is here. I was just gonna say about the skin because Kelly made a chicken today and it looked amazing. It was caramelized. She sent me a picture, and I know you're having it tomorrow, so I was gonna say put it under the broiler and crisp it back up again, just like we were just talking about. I am very warm. I don't know about anyone else, but I'm gonna take this off. So we have all the bones and everything, and we have the stock. So like I said, this is sort of a cloudy stock, but it has so much flavor in it. And I think if you let it sit for a while, that will also clarify a little bit. And again, simmer it a little more slowly, and it will be, can you see from above? It will be clearer. But this is a lot of flavor, and the fat is rising to the top, which we'll talk about in a second. And then this, I was like, how crazy do I want to sound right now? This you could just throw away for sure. But what I do, I don't love the boiled meat, but I wanted to show you the bones. Like the bones are bendy. This is a sign that you've done it right. They're bendy, they're easy to break, and the end part, that's like a joint. Kelly broke her broiler. Oh no. All right, 400 degrees instead. Preheat 400 degrees for like until it's hot again. How'd your broiler break? Can you see this? I don't know. It's very small, but the end of this bone is so soft I can just smoosh it. And that means that all the calcium that was in there is now in your stock, which is exactly what we're looking for. I don't know if you've seen, like, in the past couple years, bone broth, they call it. Bone broth has become a trend. I mean, you can subscribe to bone broth things. It's because it's all these nutrients in there. This bone also is bendable. That's what you're looking for. And like I said, this is basically done. But what I do, because it's going to sound crazy, but I take all these vegetables and cut them into little pieces, and all the little bits of meat like this, you can, if you have a pet that would eat meat and vegetables, you can dry them on a tray, and it makes pet treats. So I put it in a 200-degree oven and then just turn the oven off overnight, and it all gets dry, and they go crazy for it, and it's good for them too. So you can get a third use out of this. I would just do the carrots and the chicken, nothing else for that. So where are we here? Kelly's old house broiler broke. All right, well, there's ways around this. We can do this without a broiler. All right, so all of this goes in there. Does anyone else have a pet that would like that? They do love it. It's great, but not the bones. I should just be clear that you don't give the pet the bones ever, because they're so soft. It's a choking hazard. See, this one just fell apart. That's a choking hazard for them. Andrea, I boiled this one about 3. She said, did I boil this one 2 or 4? It was about 3, mainly because I was running short on time to get it, so it wouldn't be too hot for this. But as you can see, it's pretty opaque, and everything is out of here already. There's another trick that I don't love, but sometimes people put a tablespoon of vinegar in the water, and it helps dissolve the bones even more to the point where they're just crumbling. And it's just a trick to get a little more even out of it, but I feel I don't love the acidity flavor in the broth in the end. So I stopped doing that, actually. You could put half a lemon too, that might help. I'm going to pour this, it's still warm, but it has a skin of fat forming on the top, which I would leave for now unless I was using this right now. Then I would put it in a fat separator where the fat, oh, I have it right here actually, I'll show you. Why don't we do it? So So the fat separator, you pour it in. It takes a few minutes though. The fat rises to the top. And then, you probably can't see that, there's a thin line of like the clear fat on the top. And then it pours out from the bottom into your pot or into your storage container. I do this, and we'll get into this another time, but anytime you're braising something in a liquid, you do this before you serve it, because you want the flavors of the fat in the dish, but you don't necessarily want it to be, greasy in the end. So I'll let this sit for a second, and I'm going to show you the end result. So this one, they're different colors, but it will be slightly different every time, actually, which is fine. It's not a science. It's an art. It's an art, not a science. This one has been in the fridge maybe 8 hours, and it's been out again for another hour. So what happens in the fridge, can you see this line on top? The fat rises to the top, so this one was not strained, and it solidifies. When it's very cold, this will solidify, and you can just scrape it off with a spoon. So you just scrape, it's like the white part at the top, a yellowish white. Scrape it off, put it in a separate bowl. You can throw that away too, and you can also use that. So you can freeze that fat in ice cube trays. And in Jewish cooking, it's called schmaltz. It's chicken fat, and you can saute things like you would in other kinds of fat. So I believe in my heart that any organic meat or grass-fed meat or things that are raised healthy, that the fat is healthy as well. In moderation, not in huge amounts, but cooking in that is flavorful and delicious. I'm going to pour it off into a bowl just to show you, I guess, what am I going to do? I don't know. Let's see. I get this bowl and a spoon and spoon it off. So basically this would be more solid, and you would just be doing exactly what I'm doing, but it would be like peeling it off. Hi, Mia, another friend from Ridgewood. How are you? Maybe Mia and I can do like a segment on cooking in a New York kitchen. When I started designing, I was in New York, and I was like, I want to design because I love to cook. And then I realized nobody loves to cook. They have the time, myself included at the time, had small kitchens. And a lot of my clients were, putting their winter shoes in their wolf oven, which just made me cry. All right, this is off. So this is the chicken fat. Like I said, that would solidify. And then this is our stock from earlier. So sometimes if it's boiled down enough, save that for matzo balls. Oh, that's right. It does. This also goes into, if you're making matzo balls, Mia just pointed out, it's like this is the fat that would bind them and give them a lot of flavor. That's a great idea. Hi, Nikki. Welcome. So to me, like the holy grail of when you feel that you've got like the best stock you could have made is when this solidifies in the fridge. So this wasn't in long enough to do that, but I think it's on its way. It's pretty thick right now. That you want to end up basically with gelatin, like chicken gelatin. And that means you've got as much collagen in there as you possibly can. It doesn't always happen. It depends on the water ratio and the bones and a lot of different things, the amount of time. But that is like, yes, like I've done it and it's great. So that's it, I think. I think that's mostly what we have to talk about. If there's any questions, you can send them on quickly. And I'm thinking about next week what we're going to do. I'm thinking right now like some knife skills and a mirepoix, which is really, for me, the foundation of almost anything I make. So how to cut it, how to store it, how to make it easy for yourself for the week, and just get good meals on the table more easily. So that was pretty fast, but it was really fun too. I'm happy you're all here. So again, I'm Nicole Huff at cocohuff.com. COCOHOUGH. I should probably have said that last time too. And on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok soon. and YouTube, also Coco Huff, Hough. And you can message me anytime with questions and let me know what other segments you'd like to see as well, because we'll be doing this a lot. So I am happy you're all here, and I'm grateful for all of you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.